Welcome to Made in Moray, the podcast that focuses on the successes and struggles of local businesses. Let's get started.
The perspective is from society. Society has a lot of needs, and within the modern society today, I think when people look out at what is happening in the world, there's a general feeling that there's a lot of people with very unhealthy lifestyles. How does that feel from your perspective, running this center? Do you think that in general society is getting more healthy or less healthy? And what's your perspective on that?
It's a difficult one in terms of knowledge gap. I would say that the figures are suggesting that in Scotland that our general health is actually declining compared to where it used to be. But then people who walk through the door and maybe obese or carrying too much weight have kind of understood that. So the messages that are coming out from various government NHS campaigns, school education, all that are definitely hitting home. People do know what food and alcohol and illicit drugs may do to your system. The people that tend to come in here have taken a responsibility for themselves, regardless of what condition they're in at that moment in time when they walk through the door, and therefore they're the people we will work with, those people, because they recognise that. So there is a piece there where my contact is with people who will have some level of motivation and understanding that wherever their mobility, that they're overweight or whatever their issues are is for a reason. They need to be healthy. They need to be healthier and fitter, and being fitter leads to being healthier, and those things are connected, and they do understand that. I think schools do a really good job. We work with the primary schools towards the end of the school year. They do a thing called Health Week, and we engage with the school. They come in, and we do with the two primaries in Lossie over the last 4 years now. They've come into the kickboxing club. They get a half an hour's worth of activity on the mats, and it's generally around kickboxing. We talk about when and where they should use techniques, and it's certainly not on a playground. But what we also do as well is we've provided in the past, we've provided them with like a fruit pot, or we've provided them with, say, like a chocolate brownie, and then we've asked them to say, well, what ingredients is in there.
Wow.
But what we've done with the ingredients is there are things like Brussels sprouts, beetroot. There are all kinds of weird stuff that they would normally probably turn their nose up at, but that's in that chocolate brownie. We've not used refined sugars. We've probably used less refined sugars, so we've tried to make that a bit more healthier, if that makes sense. So getting that in itself got the kids to question their dislike for certain foods, because it's green and I don't like it because my mum and dad are telling me to eat it on a Sunday afternoon, and so actually it helps them question their own kind of thought processes on what's good and what's not. And well, something in a certain state may not taste very nice. When you do something with it or put it in as an ingredient to something else, you get a different taste. And my son's a good example of that. I mean, he will pretty much hoover most foods away. He doesn't really turn his nose up to food, and that's because we've always kind of challenged him in a way that's questioning rather than just eat it because I'm telling you to, because you've got to clean your plate. And I think that's where clients are far more intelligent now than they used to be. They do get a lot of knowledge from Google and the like, so they do come in with a certain level. Sometimes that's not always, that knowledge isn't great. So we've got to put that, we've got to try and help make sure that knowledge is the right knowledge for what they're trying to achieve, if that makes sense. So there's all kinds of funky diets out there. Most diets work by a calorie deficit. If you are burning more energy off than you are putting in, then you're going to lose weight. And there's two ways of doing that, i.e. don't eat so much, and the other one is to burn more calories off, so exercise. So they're the two ways really to lose weight. The problem with a lot of those is they will exclude food types. So things like your proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. So fat used to be when I was growing up, it was always fat's bad for you. Well, it is bad for heart health, saturated fats, but there are lots of good fats out there. That the knowledge of that has actually come up, and now I get I shouldn't eat carbs after 6 o'clock at night. Well, depends what you're trying to achieve and what your goals are. But if you just come in here and slammed yourself in a workout for an hour and a half, and you are in a huge calorie deficit, fine. If your goal is weight loss, brilliant. But if it's about performance, you need to feed it. So we talk about feeding a beast, and the beast being your energy requirement to do your activities and recover, more importantly, from those activities, so you can go again sooner. And that's where we go. So yeah, I would say the vast majority of clients, they have the information there. It's just getting it in the right context for what they are trying to achieve, and there is a lot of misinformation out there. So I saw an article saying that women shouldn't do resistance training, i.e. weightlifting, because it's bad for them, and it was a yoga instructor trying to sell yoga lessons. Well, there's nothing wrong with yoga lessons. It's great because it helps with mobility, flexibility, with very little or almost no impact onto the frame. So if you've got certain issues, yoga's fantastic. I do yoga. It's great because it helps with my flexibility for kickboxing and for my weightlifting, believe it or not. So I partake. But it doesn't mean I should exclude, or a female should exclude, resistance training. It's been proven to help with bone density, delay the onset of things like osteoporosis if you're inclined to have that condition. So absolutely, resistance training should be a staple of any ladies' training program. That doesn't mean picking up a 100 kilogram. Or doing a 100k deadlift. I mean, it's great if you can, fantastic. But it's scaled to your ability, but it will help improve bone density. It will help with muscle strength and tone. It will help you delay some of those aging processes that go on, because the body will continually try and adapt to what you're trying to do to it.
Wow, a lot of information in there. I really hope that people take the time to listen to that and to process that, because I'm sure that it's all very, very important for a healthy life and lifestyle. How long has this centre been here in its present place?
We opened in December last year, the start of December last year. So we're coming up to 10 months, or just over 10 months. So we got the opportunity to move into the building we got wind that the building was going to become available about 3 years ago. So we started, we touched base with the then owner of the building, current owner of the building, and 2 years worth of planning, we managed to get to a point where we could open up.
Wow. What are you most proud of about the facility and the centre so far?
The clients and the staff we've currently got here. We took some staff on that were really good. Had all the certification and stuff and things like that. But we also took some staff on that didn't. And as a result of that, we helped train them up. We put them through courses. We spent time with them. We sat down. We generally have informal learning sessions around the computers when it's quiet. I continually go back over notes from when I was learning to become a PT. I'll drill into more detail on it, and the guys are generally exposed to some of that, and they'll come through with it. They obviously have a natural interest in it because they're delivering classes. We're kind of getting there. So I would say in terms of the staff and what the staff have achieved has been brilliant, because when I speak to a lot of the clients, they like, they'll say, I love Chloe's class, I love Holly's circuits, I really like Emma's grit, Amy's yoga, it's great, she's so welcoming, and these kinds of things. So people are telling me it's not what they may want out of a fitness class isn't what the next individual wants out of a fitness class. We offer a lot of variation, and all the instructors' personalities come out in those variations. So and people see that and they love it. They seem to really enjoy the fact that we can do so much under one roof and not have to say, oh, we do one style of training, this is it. No, we do try and fit a broad spectrum in, but the key has been having the right personalities in the building, and I think we're just about there at the moment. It seems to work really well.
Yeah, I think that personality is extremely important, especially in the fitness industry, basically, to have that and to be able to use that to communicate to people and to motivate people as well. From a business perspective, what parts have been difficult to navigate in the last year or 2 years?
HR,
Okay.
human resources, employment law have been fraught. The legislation's pretty good. We ended up we had some knowledge of it. My wife's one of her postgrad degrees is employment law. So we felt we had a good knowledge of it, but when we started employing the numbers of people we were employing, it became really difficult to manage. So we ended up subcontracting to a company who basically have I pick the phone up, I tell them what's going on, and they can come back with letters. So we still have to handle the HR, but what they are doing is helping us keep on the right side of the employment law legislation and make sure that what we're doing is the right thing for the right individuals, and that we're giving those individuals ample opportunity and those sorts of things. So yeah, that's been quite yeah, that was quite a steep learning curve, particularly around performance management and things like that. The days have gone of just putting your foot down and saying I want it this way because that's the way I want it. It's my business. Actually, employees have a say, and we've always tried to listen to that wherever we've been in any careers we've been in. But and when it's your business, it's often very difficult to get your employees to have your vision for that business. So yeah, that I would say probably employment law has been our steepest learning curve.
What is the vision for the business?
To remain as a centre for that, to have clients that come in that feel valued, understand that value, and come in and enjoy their time here. In the gym or their fitness classes, or upstairs with the ladies doing their health and beauty pieces, their hairdressing, or the remedial side of things. That whilst the other businesses are all separate entities, we all kind of lace in together as a mini health and well-being hub community. So we've all got to kind of respect each other and understand what each individual is trying to achieve for their own business, but also then try and integrate that as a whole. And that seems to have happened a lot more easily than some of the other things we've talked about. So yeah, that I just want to grow that vision, and my wife certainly wants to grow that vision. Jill, it's that's what she wants is really to have that kind of health and well-being social hub in Lossiemouth. When we first took over the kickboxing club in 2014, we sat in front of a very cynical audience of parents and kickboxers and say, in 5 years' time we want to open a gym, and we want the kickboxing to be a part of that gym. And 5 years later, that's exactly what we did. We were fortunate, and then certain opportunities raised themselves when they did, like the availability of this building. Had the building not been available, the time was right for us to grow. So it was how would we have done that? That was a question mark. Really, the opportunity answered. So we were quite lucky that way. We also had a lot of support from local businesses in terms of helping us get the building ready, in terms of changing the building. The Clark family, the owners of the building, were very supportive in getting us to that position. To get in, we had a friend from kickboxing who is a very good tradesman. So he helped us put all the walls up. Well, in fact, no, he put all the walls up and I helped him. He pretty much, he's an amazing character. We've built it, he's built it to an amazing standard. And with that, we also had plumbers, electricians in local Lossie businesses who helped us. And when we first opened and things didn't quite go to our plan, as these things don't, they were very, very understanding and supporting in terms of helping us get to that point, so we could look after them, and that. So just to get the doors open was very community focused. So that was really important to us, and we seem to have held those relationships really well. And yeah, it's been fraught. It's been difficult. There's no two ways about it. But we're kind of getting there. We're in the right direction. And we just seem to be just chipping along and getting a bit better and a bit better. It would be really nice to sort of say this happened and everything was going to be great, but that's not life. And so we know that we're going to have to chip away at this for as long as we run the business. So things will change. That's a natural part of life, and so long as we can deal with that change and cope with it, we should be fine.
You talk about chipping away at the business. It seems to me that it is a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy. There are probably a lot of things that the clients and customers don't see, things going on in the background, things that you need to do personally to keep the business running and keep the business moving and keep everybody happy and satisfied, and keep working on the planning and find out what the next step is going to be. So you must have to put in a lot of hours personally to it.
Yeah, I mean, I would generally come in for a class. First set of classes around 7 o'clock. So I sometimes have some early morning clients, so I can be in anything as early as 6 o'clock in the morning. And on certain days of the week, I won't leave till 10 o'clock at night. So yeah, it's a very long day. I'm not delivering PTs for that whole time or classes. That would be a neat trick for any individual, I think. But obviously the peak time is generally people pre-work and post-work. So that's when, for any health and fitness organisation, that's generally done in their free time. And they're the peak times. So that's when I have to be on the shop floor, if that makes sense. In between time, lunchtime, I would say early morning, we have classes around 10 o'clock that are delivered by other individuals, but we have a lot of mums that have kids that are in school or preschool, so they'll come in with their kids and they'll do a class, and we have classes that suit them as well. So, but generally I'll sit down here and I'll operate from the computers. We'll obviously financial planning, wage runs, all this sort of stuff needs to happen. We, myself and Holly will go through marketing plans probably 2 to 3 times a week. Holly will run where we are day to day and work out where we are. We also talk about where we're going to, what we're looking at for the next 3 months, 6 months and year out. So, we know roughly what we're looking at post Christmas. We know what we're looking at for next Easter. Now it's not to say it won't change, but we're running those ideas now and we can look at them, and what that does, it gives us time to test some of our ideas and see if they're going to work. So where before, when we first started, we just said, oh, this is going to work because this is what we've done in the past. And when it hasn't, it's been a bit of a panic to sort of, right, we need to change this. Now we can go in with a fully tested solution and say, right, we should think this will work, and we think this is what the pickup will be. And generally speaking, we're now starting to see that expectation and that reality starting to marry, which didn't happen when we first opened.
It sounds like a very logical, very professional approach. Do you have a background in business, or did you pick up these skills as you went along?
No, I'm ex-military. I joined the Air Force in 1990 as a propulsion mechanic, so gas turbine engines. I worked on and off aircraft for about 14 years. I then decided to go for commission, so I became an engineering officer. You do a lot of management training in that, as well as leadership training. I made the dizzy heights of corporal when I was an airman, and again, the Air Force invest an awful lot of time and money in developing you as an individual, so you are robust enough to deal with the situations that they will drop you into throughout your career, and at the level that you work at. And yeah, sometimes that's stressful, and you get tested. There's no two ways about that. So did it help me prepare for this business? Absolutely. But I think when it's your business, it's far more personal than it ever was when I was in the Air Force, or when I worked offshore after I left the Air Force. It was far more personal because Jill and I have invested so much more into, our whole livelihood, our house, mortgage. Everything is wrapped up into this business, so it needs, for our own sanity, it needs to succeed in some respects. So, in the past, we've never really had that pressure because we've been employed. So at the end of the day, regardless what has happened in work, we can still come home and, get it off our chest and go, ugh, and that. Now, I go home to sleep. And the last thing we want to do is talk about this place at times because it consumes you, and it's your own business. It consumes you 24/7. So the key for us now is we know we're in the first year. We know we've probably got another year of really working at that level. But the vision is that we can get to, or I can get to more sustainable hours in terms of what I'm actually working in the business and on the business, as well as on the shop front, on the shop floor. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love being on the shop floor. I love interacting with the clients. I really enjoy that, and that bit is what pays dividends in terms of keeping clients, retaining clients, and keeping them in the gym and interested and working. And the other side, and that's the bit I really love, and as I said, but the nitty gritty has to be right. So the HR, as I've discussed, that has to be right, otherwise you're going to find yourself falling foul pretty quickly. The accounts have to be right, your tax returns have to be right, it all has to be paid on time. Get that wrong and you're going to fail pretty quick. So yeah, there are unpleasant tasks, I would say. I won't say unpleasant, but they're necessary tasks that don't have the glory on them, but they still need doing. And having the right people around you to get the right advice was really important, and that's why we went down the HR route on the subcontracting piece.
Wow. Do you get any time to relax?
Yeah, I go to the gym.
No excuses.
Yeah, I train with a couple of clients occasionally. I train with the staff. I'm only just now. I've been off the mats kickboxing probably for the best part of a year, and I'm only just now getting to go back on the mats as a student again. In the last the last few weeks. So yeah, that's so we actually moved into part of the building to start scoping some of the work out a year ago, and pretty much I would say I've probably been in this building every very few days I've not been in through the front door. So yeah, it is a level of commitment that anyone who runs their own business will tell you about, that there are times when you can't just down tools and disappear because you've got people relying on you. And for me, that pressure isn't necessarily just my home life and those financial pressures at home. It's also the financial pressures my employees have got, and making sure that at the end of the month that we're in a position to make sure we look after them, and that's a big responsibility.
I can imagine it is. At the same time, it's so nice to hear an owner of a business taking an interest in the employees like that. Yeah,
we do. I mean, we want to push them and help them with their career flow as well. So, in the past, we've paid for one particular person. We paid for all her qualifications, including the black belts, all the way through. So she's now operating as a PT. So pretty much every qualification she has was bought and paid for by the club. And we always viewed that as a necessary piece in terms of looking after your staff and developing them. So we want to do that, but it doesn't always boil down to courses. It can be something as simple as something hasn't happened right on the shop floor. Well, what didn't go right? How do we do this better? How do we improve that? And getting that kind of piece. And what we've got now is a team that actually completely different personalities. There's not one person who is the same or even close to being the same. They've all got different backgrounds. They all come from different backgrounds. Yeah, actually they gel really well together. And me as the boss, I would say I've got a reasonably I've got an okay relationship with them all, but what we have got is a friendly environment that it's nice to come to work. It's nice to be there and say hi, how you doing, and go through it and ask who's doing what and how these things are happening, and not feel that like it's a transactional relationship. It's a boss and employee relationship. It feels very much more informal than that, and that's what we want. And where they are all really good is coming forward with ideas and then say, okay, yeah, let's run with it. Let's make it happen, and they'll go and own that. They'll go and own it. It's theirs. They'll make it work. And if there's problems with it or it doesn't come off, then hey, we've learnt from that, and maybe we could repackage something and do it slightly differently, or maybe, you know what, we're not going to do that any longer. We're going to do something else. So and it's not difficult. It's not, because the way we operate now, and because we have that relationship, it's informal in the sense of we can make things happen. We can make decisions quite quickly, and sometimes, you know what, we'll sit on it and we won't make decisions because at that time making a decision might not be the right thing. And whilst that in the past has really frustrated some people, I think now they're understanding why we sit on things a little bit longer, just to let the idea simmer away and see if we can get purchase with it. So it does work. We just continually try and listen to what they've got to say. Generally the good ideas will come from them. They won't come from me. I know what I want to do. I know what I want to achieve. I may not always know how to get there. These guys, between them, will work it out.
Super. What is the most important thing for you here and now, today? What's on your mind about the business right now?
To just continue growing our membership, improving our class timetable, which is still pretty good, and improving, getting some stability, a little bit more stability for the businesses upstairs. So they understand that they're some of the guys have got great client lists. Some of them are new to business as well. They're new businesses. So really, it's just to making sure we all keep working along together. You know, from the cafe right the way through to the wee kid on the mats learning for getting their first grading. So it's making sure everyone gets what they want out of it, understand that there are other people involved around that, and that we all work together to that kind of common aim, which is that we all do well from it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. How can the community best support you and this business and this organization?
Coming in, see what we can do, see if there's anything we can do for you, and that's part of it. Support the businesses that are upstairs. Come on in, use their services, and this goes for any of the Lossie businesses, to be quite honest. I think things are turning where the town I was originally from has gone it's very corporate in some respects. You've got these big out of town shopping centres and all that kind of thing, and Elgin's kind of gone that way a little bit. However, if you're buying local, your money stays in the area and is invested in the area, whether that's employing somebody, buying local produce, and that kind of thing, which is pretty much what happens here. from the cafe to right the way through to the gym. Whereas if you go to a big chain, that money invariably will be sucked straight out into a dividend or a business profits, and it doesn't directly contribute towards the Moray community, other than the handful of people they may employ as a small entity. So I would say, if it's local and it's badged and it is local, then support it.
Absolutely. Is there anything that the business needs right now that it doesn't have, or is there anything that you would specifically like to change instantly if you could?
I'd love to drive my energy costs down.
Wow.
Yeah. I would love to be able to do that. We pay, we've got a good rate on our electric, so and I get phone calls every week asking me if I want a better rate from various providers. But actually, I'd love to be able to put. I've got probably one of the biggest roofs in Lossiemouth. I'd love to be able to put solar renewable energy on the top and push that the other way rather than sucking it into the building. That was kind of that's one thing I'd want. There's obviously a cost implication in not just doing that, but also there's a cost implication now, and we're running through figures to say, well, actually, the X amount I'm spending on electric now, if I was to be pushing it the other way, that would pay for that system. So we're looking at those kinds of figures now. I also want to train my staff. I want to be able to train my staff a little bit with a few more courses or recognised courses. So I've got somebody who teaches exercise to music. She's very, very good at it. I want her to expand in that area, to expand her knowledge, become more confident, be able to do more of her own thing with it, rather than just do the prescribed classes that she's given at the moment. I've got Holly in the gym. She's got a real big interest in weightlifting. I want to be able to get her into some a very I want to try and get her onto a well-recognised coaching course, so she can come back and use that piece. And what we found with a lot of the weightlifting courses out there, they'll teach you how to weightlift and they'll give you the mechanics of which Holly's got, and she's able to do that now. But by entering some of these courses, you end up with this two-way meeting of minds. So you understand, you start to be able to coach in the grey, not just the black and the white. And she's very good at that, and her interactions with people are very good. But it's refining and continually improving that knowledge. I speak to other trainers in the area. We know what they're up to. I'm on so many different professional chat groups, and we look at what's coming in, what's not, what's working for people, what's not. So these things will always evolve. Fitness will always evolve. What's interesting enough, what I saw my dad doing in the late 70s, early 80s, we're almost going back to that kind of down and dirty style of training again, from what was, I would say, I'll argue the 80s was a very sterile gym machine environment, and it was all bodybuilding focus, where now we're in a very much CrossFit brought a lot of intensity back into the gym, and that's been brilliant, because we do dynamic lifts, we do circuit training, and when you look at what CrossFit do in terms of we're quite similar in a lot of ways. We look at what they do, we will pick the best from it. We also look at, if someone wants to come in and they want to look good, CrossFit may not be the option for them, so we'll look at more aesthetics, styles of training. So we'll adapt for people rather than just push ourselves into one. We won't put that round. Everyone is a different shape of peg. Yeah. So what we try and do is get them in the right hole, rather than say, we do this and this is all we do because we believe it's the best. We know everyone's different, so we try and make sure that we've got enough holes in different shapes in the board that people can find something that suits them. Yeah,
it's wonderful to be able to provide individual support like that. There's a lot of businesses that just have general or generic systems that they pump out. They want to get everybody to do exactly the same program, exactly the same workout, and so to find a business that is really orientated towards the individual and the benefits for that individual is wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, it's time consuming. There's no two ways about it, and you've got to have a head on being available for clients and what their need is, and being able to sort of tap into that and provide that for them. And to be honest, it's generally a conversation which costs your time. However, get it right and be efficient with it and understand your business well. That time cost can be fairly cheap. It doesn't have to be expensive, and it costs nothing to be polite to people. And that's one of the things we say to all our clients in here is, just respect the other people here. And what we found is we've definitely got that. There are gyms in town where people are queuing for equipment, and everyone's got their headphones on and no one speaks to each other. Well, okay, guys have the headphones on in here, we don't mind, it's there. My musical taste can be a bit unique, so I don't expect them to listen to my rubbish music all the time. But what we do find is, often or not, the earplugs come out and they're having conversations amongst themselves, and they're not people you would have naturally thought they would train together or they would be together in terms of that in this environment. We've got some young guys here and they'll be chewing the fat with some seniors, and they just get on with it. It's great. It's what we want.
Wow. I'm blown away. That's all I can say. It's quite incredible. I think sometimes one change can lead to everything changing, and I'd really like for people that are out there to come here. I'd like them to come and see the place. I'd like them to come to see the center. I'd like them to come and see the options that are available to them. It doesn't cost anything to ask any questions about it, and who knows what's going to come out of that. So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you or the center or get information?
Open the door, come on in, say hi. We're more than happy to show you around and see what we've got throughout the building. All the businesses upstairs have their business cards on the table down here, so pretty much everyone in reception knows what is available. If you want something more specific about a fitness program, stuff like that, we can book an appointment. There's no cost to that at all. We just chew the fat, work out what you're at, and if actually we can help you and get you to what you want to do. The other way you can contact us is through Facebook. We're on 44. It just put spell 44, you'll find us, and our webpage. And both of those things continually change. Our timetable reacts to what clients are asking us for. So we now have Pilates on the timetable. We're currently looking at doing a new program for more elderly people, because we find like with Pilates and yoga, you're on the floor, and there's an older demographic, so that 70s, 80s, that actually getting up and down off the ground is actually quite difficult for them. So we're looking at providing, doing a number of classes where those similar kind of things are run from a chair, so they can start some light mobility work, standing up, sitting down, and just help in that area. So we're hoping to launch that in the next month or so. So again, that's very much that's again we're not just catering to the gym rats. We're also catering to people who wouldn't normally want to be in here, but they know that being active is great, but they want to do it in a safe and controlled manner with appropriately qualified people, and we're looking to provide that in the near future.
Wow. So people can call, they can visit the website, they can check out Facebook, they can check out Instagram.
Yep.
There's no excuses. Absolutely none. No excuses at all.
Yeah, excuses don't burn calories, apparently.
No, just do it. Do it now. Do it today. Do it this week. Get on with it.
There is that, but some people will always be apprehensive because that environment can be completely alien to them, and it's. I will admit, it is not for everybody. But what we will work our hardest to do is make sure that people understand what they can and can't do in terms of goals, what's achievable, and certainly time frame that for them, and help them do that. What we have found is some people come in, they just like coming in the gym, and it's almost like going to the pub in some respects. They come to the gym because they're going to go work out and stuff, but they're actually coming for a bit of social as well. So there's far more to it than just training and just working out. It's so much more than that.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Hey, no worries. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
This is how I grow and learn.
Mm-hmm.
I grow and learn through shutting up. 'Cause I always want to jump in.
I talk a lot. I will admit, I can talk.
We all have different skills, and we need them in different areas of our life in order to get things done. You can't run a business and not be a communicator with people.
No.
Made in Moray is a product of the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching. Book a free online personal or professional development consultation today. What are you waiting for?